Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tommy here. I'm a black, queer, Latino, trans man living in Florida. I hope you guys are having a great day. Quick little update. Not that major, honestly, because not a lot has happened because I'm on time today. But, I have been feeling lots of waves now of peace. One, I am I've been paying attention to what's going on, but I'm just like, okay, it's happening. What am I gonna do about it? Gonna sit around and like cry every day and let the anxiety overtake my life? This is not gonna happen. I know there's people fighting for us right now, so that's not happening. Two, being anxietied up and not being able to move or do anything or be depressed because the world doesn't understand me is something that I've already spent a good deal of my life doing, and I don't want to do that anymore. So it's kind of like it is what it is. It happens. It happens, and I'm just going to stay happy no matter what. I have told you about there's certain books that I've read over my lifetime that help me help me kind of manage the darkness when it comes, right? The Buddhist on Death Row is one of them. And that's a book that I always go back to when I'm starting to get like that, or just listening to or thinking about people like Nelson Mandela, who was in prison, right? And realizing that happiness is a state of mind, not necessarily what is external, right? And even though I don't consider myself like highly religious, I do think there are things that you can learn from religion that help you with hard times. But not necessarily because I believe there's a deity that is going to save me or whatever. But, you have to learn how to find peace within the storm. So, with that being said, I'm very excited. Today, you're going to see me use my iPad because I do have some things to say that I hope are going to A, help you get through this time. B, please be patient with me because there's a lot to cover and I'm going to try to condense it in a few minutes, right? So there are many points that I want to bring up, but I'm going to condense it because the last time I recorded this video, it came out to like 20 something minutes. And I know not a lot of people have time for that. But I will preface with this. I am going to be speaking from two books, precisely. If you want to, on your own time, read these two books, by all means, I would definitely suggest to do so. Basically, because you'll get where I'm getting this information from, and two, they're cool books. They're not hard reads. They're actually an easy listens to. Okay, so the first book that I am going to be talking about, or actually, sorry, we're going to mix the books. So the first book is Transgender History, the second edition by Suzanne Stryker. And then, I think I've mentioned this book before, but The Queer History of the United States by Michael Bronski. All right. Now, I want you to understand that what we are experiencing in 2025 has been a fight that we've been having with a particular organization since the 1980s. All right. The 1980s, the Heritage Foundation, sound familiar? Wrote I guess like a manifesto, they called it the leadership strategy, right? And it was basically pro-family and anti-LGBTQIA and how the United States should be a Christian nation. Now, when I say Christian nation, I don't mean that I have a problem with people being Christians. Obviously, I come from a Christian home. I don't have a problem with anyone seeking any religion. I just have a problem when you try to use your religion to tell me how I can live my life. That's when you're like, oh, it's wrong because the Bible says so. Great, awesome, that's good. So just you don't transition and you don't marry someone of your same gender or whatever. That's for you. But when you start to tell me that I have to do what you say because it's based on your religious beliefs, that's kind of where I draw the line. That just it's like it's cool, but not cool. All right. So the reason why I think this is necessary information because that means that there's a blueprint for us to survive, thrive in super hard times. All right. So in the 1966, there was something called the Compton Cafeteria Riot. This was before Stonewall, right? There were some kids and some gender non-conforming people hanging around Compton in this cafeteria area, and the owners were trying to kick them out. And so that became a fight between the cafeteria, the police, and the queer kids. That was prior to Stonewall in the 1960s. And then we had Stonewall in the 1960s. And that's pretty much a pretty popular time that everybody talks about, right? After the Stonewall Uprising, then we have the Heritage Foundation that came through. I don't know what inspires people like the Heritage Foundation to be so cruel to anti-LGBT people, but it sucks. And they've been a thorn in our side since the 1980s, right? Then in the 1990s, the backlash starts to grow, right? We get the Brandon Tina is murdered. That was, that's from the movie Boys Don't Cry. I've only seen that movie once, and I will never see it again because it's just way too intense for me. But that's when that happened. Then we have the Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and then we have the Defense of Marriage Act, right? And does that sound familiar? Does it sound familiar? Because it is, all right? What we're going through now with Project 2025 is just a repeat of the 1980s. We survived the 1980s, right? We did really well of getting over that. 2010, all right? Marriage becomes the law of the land, so we don't have to worry about marriage equality anymore. But the Trump administration, backed by the Heritage Foundation, rolls back a lot of trans rights, and they continue to do that. Over 855 bills have been attacking the trans community, from things of like what bathroom to use to identification, all these other things. But again, this is nothing new. This is actually a repeat. And so what they used to do back then was at the very least give you an identification to say that you were trans, right? And that would at least garner you some employment and things of that nature. But I do not see that being proposed today. And I also don't think that would be fair, because I particularly don't want people in my business unless I ask you to be, right? Even this channel is something that isn't for cisgender people. It's really for trans people and their allies. Cis people have enough channels and stuff that they can go to. All right. Now, the 2020s, like I said, we've had over 500 anti-trans bills, attacking our community, and it is pretty sad. But what can we learn from the past that we could apply today? Number one, and I'm going to say this the first one, because for me, this is the most important. Community saves, mutual aid saves, backing up your organization saves. This is really not the time to get caught into infighting, right? Like, I do not care if non-binary people want to be part of the trans community. Hey, you know what? Awesome. I don't care if there are trans men that date trans women. I don't care if there are trans men that want to be feminine. I do not care about any of that, because to me that's dumb. It doesn't matter. It's like, usually when people say things against other parts of the community, it goes something like this. It's like, well, we were doing so well, and now they're going to dislike us because these weirdos. And it's kind of like, no, it doesn't matter how well you think we're doing. They're always going to dislike us because that's just the way they are. It doesn't matter whether there's non-binary people, whether there's trans masculine men that are feminine, whether there's trans women that are butch. There's none of that matters, okay? Absolutely nothing. The minute that you say you are trans, you may be more passable being heteronormative for some people, but for our actual enemies, they do not care. They do not care. They want to eradicate us. So the infighting has got to stop. It's completely unproductive, all right? And that's my opinion, but hey, everybody has one. This is mine. The second thing we have to realize is that we do have politicians that are going to be fighting for us, but we cannot depend on those people. All right, we got to get into organizing. We have to get in front of the politicians' face. We have to do it. The time to sit idly by and sit in our very, very uncomfortable closets is done. I'm not saying that you have to go out and be out and proud. That works for some people, not for all. But just because you're not out does not mean you can't donate your time, your services, or some resources to the organizations that are fighting for the cause. If you have friends that are anti-trans and they don't really know why they're anti-trans, there's a possibility that you can like move those people and shift them over to our side. Why would you do that? Because they don't really know why they're anti-trans, which means they're just doing it because everybody else is saying that they should be that way. They really haven't sat down and thought about it. They're maybe believing misinformation and disinformation, like we're mutilating kids and, we're telling kids to be trans. Like, I wouldn't tell anyone to be trans that actually isn't trans. That would not be my deal. I would definitely provide help and support to people who are actually trans. Yes, that I would do. All right. So, moving on. We got community. We got mutual aid. We got not depending on politicians. And the other one, this language is power. Okay, language is power. When they say gender ideology, when they use that word, ask them what they mean by that. Get really curious. If you start asking a line of questions, do not argue, by the way. Just ask a line of questions. You're going to see that most people are just repeating whatever media crap that they hear. Again, they actually haven't either A, met a trans person, B, actually sat down and see what the process of transitioning is. They think that you go to the doctor, you say that you're trans, and you chop your shit off. That's what they think. And that's not how it goes. You know it doesn't, okay? In closing, look, pretending that things are all okay and that the world isn't on fire and stuff like that isn't going to help right now. But taking back our power is. That's what's going to help. Letting people know that we are human beings. Human beings. Alright? It doesn't matter whether I'm trans, black, Latino, queer. Like, none of that matters. I am a human being. Alright? And I breathe air, and I have to eat every so often, and I have family that loves me, and I have people that I love, and I contribute to society in good and positive ways. Those reasons alone are reasons for me to be here, stay here, and stand here. In fact, I don't really even need those reasons, but I'm giving it to you anyway. So, what I hope that you get from this video today is some empowerment, some true, deep down empowerment. I want you to find your fight in you. I want you to find your passion. I want you to find your desire and your strength to live the life that you want to live, because we live in the United States of America and we are allowed to create our own happiness. Don't you let them forget it. Have a nice day.